celebrate Steve and his accomplishments in teaching. Steve is an incredibly popular teacher, whether the class is big or small, and I mean really, really big. In the fall of 2006, Steve taught business associations to 154 students. Now, at some law schools, one would say, okay, so 154 students, there's lots of classes with 154 students. For us, that is so much bigger than our average upper year class. Our average upper year class is around 70s, and if that, and Steve's class was 154. Steve also teaches smaller classes, indeed you can't teach anything bigger, and seminars on corporate law and corporate governance. And the common thread of his classes, whether they're big or small, is the effectiveness of Steve's teaching. He's a rigorous teacher, one whose students regularly say that he has a totally comprehensive knowledge of the subject areas. And just as Jerry Kong is to Mind Manager, Steve Bainbridge is to the PowerPoint. Steve's teaching is regularly lauded by his students, and as I said, the school with really high teaching quality and high teaching evaluations, his are regularly near the top. Now, one of the traditions of the Rudder Awards is that I get to I look at evaluations all the time, but I actually go to the comments of evaluations to try to pull out some comments that I think are indicative of the person. So I have just a few today, instead I won't hold you too long. So I'm just going to read a few that come out from various comments. First one, a great character makes a great professor, and Steve Bainbridge's course is delightful for that reason. Okay, that was Law 230. What class is Law 230? Is that that's B, Business Association. That's from the spring of '07. Here's something from the fall of '06. He's more than a little intimidating, but that's not really his fault. Business Associations 230, a very succinct class, a very succinct person, and fall of '06 says, quote unquote, he rocks. Another one from that same semester, Bainbridge is the man. Someone in a smaller class, it's interesting, this was a smaller class, Law 589, I have no idea what that is. It must be corporate something. This is spring of '07, says he could, quote, he could wear a tie every now and then to change things up. So, here today, they see that it is possible. And then also Law 230, Business Associations from '04, quote, weaknesses are, he's too busy to teach all of my other classes. Nice. And then lastly, also from fall of '04, you talk fall of '04, and then the following spring, the earlier spring, so you're doing a calendar year. Professor, now this I don't understand, Professor Bainbridge Zizzle. I never called you that. He has the strength of 10 men. He also juggles well, could pass on as an SEC superhero, and occasionally dwarfs the sun. And occasionally dwarfs the sun with his bright intellect. So with that, I would like to introduce Bill Rudder, ask him to come up here for the presentation of the Rudder Award. Now, normally we give a check with the Rudder Award to the winner, and I do have a blank envelope. Technology does this now as direct deposit. I'm going to just say that's directly deposited. And ask Bill to take over.
Wow. When you hear 154 second-year students, I guess they are, enrolled in a class, you know the professor is doing something right. The word gets around very quickly in law school. Who are great professors? Number alone attests to not only his stature in the faculty, but his popularity among students. as many of the law review articles as Professor Bainbridge has written, his notes and his scholarly works, I warrant that 15 to 20 years from now, you're not going to remember him for those things. You're going to remember him for being a dynamite classroom teacher, the kind of person who attracts 154 people into a classroom, and by so doing, assumes all the responsibility that go with it, meaning reading 154 blue books, torture, mind you, at the end of the semester, and being available to 154 students throughout the year for after-class questions and answers. So a man who can do that and be a wine connoisseur and love dog, well, he's very deserving of an award.